In Contact, a news and public affairs presentation by the Atlanta Association of Black Journalists. And now your host, Angela Robinson.
Trayvon Martin, Hydea Pendleton, Breonna Allen, Robert Champion, Bobby Tillman, and so many more. Bullied, gunned down, families still waiting for justice. According to the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, during the past 2 decades, the impact of gun violence in the United States has been greatest on juveniles and young adults, particularly among 15 to 24-year-olds, the majority children of color. Because of the deaths of these young people, the killings in Newtown, Connecticut, 2 recent gun shootings at 2 local high schools, a nation is stirred to do something about violence against children, but what? And will children and communities and a nation survive while lawmakers drag their authority on laws surrounding guns? Fear is on the rise. Neighborhoods are dying. Schools have become killing fields. It is a very complex issue. We are proud to welcome Art Powell, a former gang member who served most of his life in prison for being in a gang, shooting at a police officer. He calls himself a bullying and gang prevention expert life skills coach. And his book, Traumatic Memories, Gangster to Be or Not to Be. And we have a serious epidemic going on, killing our children. Art, how, you've been there. You've been there. So when you hear about a program like this, how do you think it makes a difference when someone can release through artwork? If they know about somebody being bullied, they hear about it, and every other minute on the news, it seems like a kid or some school, there's gunfire, violence.
Well, I think a great problem that we have with our youth is that they don't have a way to express themselves. Mm-hmm. They don't have a platform to express how they feel internally, or how to vent, or to kind of show people what they're going through and what they're dealing with in their lives. So that's a great program. And, part of what I do when I work with young people is try to give them a platform to express themselves, whether that's through role playing, like being artistic, being creative through drawing, rapping, music, or whatever. Those are things that are outlets for kids to express themselves. I think it's very instrumental. I wish I would have had some programs like this, or that were available to me. I probably would have chose a different path.
You think so?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
How long were you in a gang?
Wow. I started gangbanging when I was 15.
15.
So
does that just start on me? Because Lieutenant, you're just not. I'm gonna let you finish. 15.
Actually, no. The common age now is 11, 12 years of age.
Right.
Okay, hold it. Okay, go ahead.
So
my goodness.
And the crazy thing about us now is like, it wasn't common like in 1984 when I joined the gang. Atlanta didn't want to acknowledge they had a gang problem.
Yeah, because I would toss in, we did, you're right, we just didn't want to acknowledge
Exactly.
it. Acknowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the gangs have revamped themselves. They've gotten high tech, and their recruiting process is beyond your imagination. And I tell parents and I tell adults all the time, you're competing with organizations that basically their buy-in to the kids was making them cross over, because back in the day it was like when gangs were formed, it was for protection and community and unity. Now it's become a fad.
Right, and they can get something. Well, somebody's listening to them. Somebody's making them important. A kid becomes special if he joins a gang, so on and so forth. Right.
Right, and they're recruiting online.
My goodness gracious! How did you get out?
It was a conscious decision I made. That's not where I wanted to live.
Right.
After doing 11 and a half years in prison, you kind of make you look at life from a totally different perspective. And I basically was shown from my so-called friends where they stood with me as far as like being a support system that I thought, I was getting into,
not it.
That it wasn't it. Gangs are tools of manipulation and deception.
And you got out and you lived to tell about it.
Yes,
How do you know when you've made an impact on a kid, Art?
when I can see them transition. When prime example, I normally do programming anywhere from 6 weeks to a year. So when I go in and work with a group of kids, I do a pre and post test, and I kind of assess the class clowns, the leaders, and so I focus in on them because I know their influence to other kids in the program.
So that's the pre.
Right,
Okay.
and then you know, so you know, I look at behavior, we look at grades, and we look at attendance, and weigh that in as well. But you know, with every week or every session that I do with them, you know, seeing how they're engaged in the workshops and you know, talking openly and you know, just how other kids are transitioning. That's how I can kind of see
And you know
how they're coming along, exactly. And then following up with the parents and the teachers in the school, you know, they're saying, okay, like when I come, they'll be like, the kid's been waiting on you, you know, so I know that,
That's
you know,
good.
they're
That's a
looking
good
for
sign.
me to come in.
Right,
So
right.
it's a few things that factor into that.
Art, how easy is it to get a gun?
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah, Art. Tell us, Art.
It's too easy.
It is.
It's too easy. It's too easy. I mean, you got to look at
Not just a gun, but just like the lieutenant
assault
said.
weapons.
Just thank you.
Very easy.
That is outrageous. How is that happening?
I'm just from a personal perspective. When I was younger, and I really, because I didn't know the law, I really didn't understand, you know, how purchasing guns was so easy. When I was 21, you know, I used to go to pawn shops and buy rifles, mini 14s, and you can buy as many as you want to. You can just convert them, put different kind of stocks on them to make them look, to make them more military style weapons. You can buy.
You can accessorize them, is what you're saying.
Exactly, and also
It's
even
amazing.
with shotguns, you can go buy 5-10 shotguns. All you needed was a Georgia State ID. So,
But now we're trying to enforce more background checks. Is it really going to make a difference?
But you got to look at the other people that are not just manufacturing weapons, but who have access to these weapons that are selling them for a profit and not thinking about the outcome of how that's affecting our children. And that's the big thing about it. You know, the prison industry is a big business.
Yes, it is.
And, this,
and
this,
you know
we,
what?
we
are stocking
and it. And at the end of the day, you got to look at all the different things that come into play to make this industry function like it does. So there's a lot of different mechanisms that's that's helping it go. So you know, if you got a train that got a bunch of weapons left on a yard that's in with crates and crates of assault weapons or handguns.
It's very real.
I mean, that's just being realistic.
That's very real.
Because those are things that have actually happened. So so we already know what kind of problems are going to rise when people have that accessibility to those type of weapons and what they're going to do with those weapons once they get them in their hands.
You know, you mentioned something, and I know the foundation touches in this to a degree as we're trying to build holistic people and great citizens, but a lot of the justice institutes, and I pulled some information, the Vera Institute of Justice has been really active in looking at that violence against our youth and looking at things like school safety, mental illness, as you mentioned, mental health, and the services to families. Also, different ways the community connect, because as you say, and as we mentioned at the top, it's complex. It starts with one thing and it filters down to something else, and thus, unfortunately, sometimes we have somebody shooting up a school or whatever. So if we can, let's take one wheel in this, or one cog in this wheel. What do we need to do as everyday people, communities and citizens? I can't leave it just to Beyond Scared Straight to take kids into prison and say, look at this, you could be you. It's good work. I can't just leave it to Art. Art, you have your shirt that says Bridge the Gap. Can you give us a little summary of what that's all about? Because I know it's in conjunction of helping our young people.
Right. Bridge the Gap is an organization that was started by a producer by the name of Kevin K.O. Cates. I think he sold like over 30 million copies of with the artists that he's worked with. Basically, he wanted to do something different. He wanted to be a person that wasn't just known for his success, but also be significant in trying to change the lives of the young people that we're talking about right here today that have a lot of these issues. So he created a a character development curriculum that teaches kids life skills through positive hip hop music, and also
meeting children where they are.
Right, actually meeting and giving them tools on how to deal with their social issues. So there's a 12-week curriculum that deals with death, HIV, gangs, loving yourself, just a variety of different character traits that our kids are lacking in to try to help them cope. And it's great. It's great, you know, what we're doing in the schools and in the Boys and Girls Clubs and different organizations. We actually see how the kids are changing, and you know, the kids' grades are going up 0.3%. Off referrals have went down 41% based off these kids dealing with this curriculum. Because what it is like, you know, when you get young people coming to school and they got all these social issues going on, they're not going to be focused when they get into an education environment. Right. So, you know, with this, particular curriculum, we see it as the solution because, like you said, it meets the kids where they are, right? You know, to help them deal with whatever issues they're dealing with. So it's we're doing phenomenal things. I'm excited about being involved in this organization.
Well, I guess you all would also agree that perhaps sometimes, I know we tell children a lot of things. We need to listen as well, don't you, Lieutenant?
Exactly. That's correct.
We need to listen. Before we go, though, I want to put up some websites where parents and children can go to find out more about the programs. ArtPowerGangExpert.com. Go there. This man has an incredible story to tell. You're doing great work, too.
Thank you.